What's up, guys? It's your boy Zowoki back out with another of the Chris Watts videos, and by popular demand, by we're talking hundreds, have wanted me to watch Crime Catalyst's new video, which I wanted to let her get her views in. Is the dark things in the Watts case, and we're about to watch them together. I do see something that I really want you guys to help me out with, and that is Crime Catalyst is still not at 10,000 subscribers. So go over there, give her some love by subscribing, commenting, liking, and sharing. You know the deal. But on my channel, don't forget to also subscribe by hitting that red bar or white bar icon down the bottom right. Hit the bell icon next to it, so when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I've posted that video, and then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, thank you so very much for the love and support. I can't thank you guys enough. Hopefully one day we'll get to that 100K goal, but I need your guys' help. Again, go over to Crime Catalyst, subscribe, comment, like, and share. You know the deal. The dark parts of this case are very present. We don't know what Nichol Kessinger was doing in the basement. She obviously had a whole bunch of weird things happening. Dark entities. Chris mentioned that he had a dark hold over him, which I'm not giving him any out. He did it. But we know that somebody else was a part of it. So that's why we're looking into this case even more. With that being said, let's get into the video. Alrighty, so there are pieces in this video that I'm going to have to remove. As much as I love watching Sloan, her stuff is copyrighted. I don't definitely want to get copyright striked, so I'm going to remove that. If you want to watch it more, go over to Crime Catalyst's video itself, but those parts I will be taking out. I just want to let you know that beforehand.
Looking for trouble?
From the very beginning, when this popped up at this very moment, we should have known that some dark things would be exposed.
It was not a
coincidence. From the minute I started following this case, something inside me felt uneasy and disturbed, and I know some of you have felt it too.
He makes her smile.
And stand by you.
And stand by you.
As long as we both shall live.
As long as we both.
Either you're this monster, so I just want.
Oh, he's a monster.
Friend, somebody. Everyone hope it works out.
And now to that unnerving moment. Chris Watts explains why he put the family into oil tanks.
Nope, we're not going to be watching the next part.
Get you some popcorn, some snacks, grab a drink, and get comfortable.
Already there.
And let's just dive right in. We're going to talk about the darkness in Chris Watts, what he said in his letters about Nichol Kessinger. We're going to talk about all the witchy things, the crystals, the spells, the Kundalini awakening, the new moon, the
whatever she was doing,
the Dead Sea Scrolls, and more.
I want to look into that, the Sea Scrolls. That's one thing that Chris Googled was the Sea Scrolls. I never could find anything more, but maybe Crime Catalyst has got the inside scoop, so I'm here and I'm ready to listen.
Can you watch with an open mind?
Yes.
I know it's different, but I need you to be a little broad-minded, open to suggestions or ideas that might be different than your normal way of thinking. Okay. I myself, while making this video, had to force myself to be willing to see things from a different perspective. If you'll allow yourself to be open and accept that maybe it's possible that sometimes actions employed in the belief in magic or rituals can manipulate natural or supernatural beings and forces.
I don't know.
If you can accept that, even if only temporarily, you might find this interesting. With that being said, who do we know that's a masterful manipulator? None other than Nichol Lee Kessinger.
Or Nicole Sophia Miller.
Well, maybe with the help of the Watts family, Convinced this seemingly reliable and responsible, faithful, loyal, devoted, and dedicated husband and father.
Hi guys, say hi Bella.
Because they said he just snapped.
We gotta get you dressed, kid. What Bella's eating. Bella's eating some of the ingredients.
Who no one thought would ever stray, who would never compromise his morals, and certainly would never intentionally do anything to hurt anyone, much less his own family. Chriswatts was mesmerized by his mistress, Nichol Kessinger, who wanted to give him his first son. He was so enamored with Kessinger that he tried to cause his wife Shanann to miscarry their first and only son. Chriswatts said, "All I could feel was now I was free to be with Nikki. Feelings of my love for her was overcoming me. I felt no remorse. The darkness inside me had won. It was still in me though. I thought maybe permanently. I felt swallowed up by this thing inside of me."
Yeah, welcome to the 12 days of Christmas, Lavelle Day, and even though I like to claim that I could probably cook, I can't at all. So I'm gonna let my wife do all the cooking. She's gonna make up some Thrive Bites for us.
And I'm gonna go wash my hands real fast.
Uh-oh. She's gonna leave me here alone.
Her influence and manipulation, I won't say caused, but definitely played a part in Chriswatts' decision to take his beautiful pregnant wife and 2 daughters out of this world.
Because everybody that we've watched when it came, or listened to when it comes to the interviews, said Chris was so into his girls. Like he adored them. So how do you go from adoring them, loving them, wanting to be a father so much, and go to murder them? Obviously, we think, again, for educational purposes, I can't say for factual that she had taken place or murdered those girls or helped in some shape or form. But there's a lot of evidence that's pointing towards that she was involved in some shape or form, that she might have had a hand at the girls, because how do you go from a loving, adoring father that loves his girls to murdering them? It's got to be dark and evil and monstrous. That's pretty much what he is. So
isn't that crazy?
Wise men say, only fools.
How did she have that much influence over him? Many people believe that she zapped him with her supernatural powers. It's actually a pretty popular opinion that Nichol Kessinger was or is a witch, a sorceress, Wiccan, enchantress, a spellbinder.
Why? Why?
He's a bad actor.
Why? The reason that he even provided me with that information is because I asked. Like, we were dating for 3 or 4 months. Filing for divorce. I don't know if they were putting the house up. I don't even know.
Have you ever paid attention to Nichol Kessinger's hands? I'm not making fun of her.
Reach and go the flame. Okay, so try to salvage his relationship as you've been asking him. Yes, and I was like, if you guys work on this, because what's the point? I'm not trying to be with somebody that's in another relationship.
I probably would not have noticed it had she not been waving her hands all around the whole time she's talking. But something about her hands just doesn't look normal.
Oh, I didn't realize.
To me, they look all crooked, like a witch's hands. This may seem like I'm reaching. It might not be of that much importance, but it's just strange to me that even something that's small and insignificant still has some sort of spiritual meaning. And then every time I research something, it fits perfectly into the role that Kessinger played in this case.
We don't know. That's the problem.
Long fingers are often associated with heightened intuition, sensitivity, and a strong connection to the emotional realm. People with long fingers are considered to be more intuitive and in tune with their feelings, essentially signifying a deeper connection to the spiritual plane.
Look at that middle finger.
They are said to be more receptive to psychic experiences due to their heightened sensitivity. Individuals with long fingers are often seen as deeply emotional. In palm reading, long fingers are typically associated with the water element, which represents emotions, intuition, and fluidity.
Well, she doesn't have emotions.
Miss Kessinger also had long toes.
Ew.
Which also could indicate intelligence, having leadership skills, creative abilities, emotional sensitivity, and spiritual insight. The ancient Greeks loved long toes. They thought it was physical perfection. They believed that it meant you would have a long life. But other cultures believed that women with long toes were bad-tempered and would control their husbands.
Sounds like Nicole.
And did y'all know that emotions are connected to your toes? Specifically, fear, insecurities, and betrayal.
She's just weird overall. Geology.
Nichol Kessinger was a geologist. Geologists use techniques
Study
from
rocks.
physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and geography to study the Earth's materials, processes, and history. Since some of Earth's materials include minerals, rocks, and crystals, it makes sense that the two worlds might collide. In fact, the first recorded woman mineralogist was imprisoned in France on suspicion of witchcraft. Witches would not be able to do magic in space or another world because their mystical skills depend on the earth. All of the power is actually the power of the earth. Crystals have been used by witches for centuries to focus and direct their spells. They are one of the most popular ingredients in witches' magic. They can be used to help stimulate psychic abilities, attract positive energy, balancing the chakra of the body, and sometimes they're used in love rituals. Some of you might remember that after the events on August 13th, they found a pink rock or some sort of crystal under Bella's bed.
Did hear about that. You guys wanted me to look into it.
Nikki had a crystal that she kept with her. She took it everywhere she went. I watched the witch documentary. One of the questions asked of the witches on the show was, how do you know someone is a witch? And one of the ladies' responses was, if she carries a rock or a crystal around on her, she's a witch, whether she actually identifies as one or not. Nichol Kessinger was a lover of flowers, specifically sunflowers. They are known for their loyalty to the sun, which is why their seeds and petals are often used in spells and hexes to harness loyalty and to bind the wheel.
Is your mind like blowing up right now? Because mine is like, what?
The head of the flower literally moves from east to west to follow their life source. Sunflowers can be seen as a symbol for spiritual awakening. Chriswatts spoke of Kessinger making him a special drink every night.
Oh.
He never knew what was in it. Some believe she could have used something called, sometimes referred to as, because of its physical and psychological effects on people. Once this is administered, you won't be able to remember a thing. You will become incredibly agreeable, yet totally coherent. Basically, it completely eliminates your free will.
Really? That's an interesting thought, Chris. You don't know if you do.
Just like everything that happened that morning, I don't know, like I try to go back in my head. I'm just like, I didn't want to do this, but I did it. I didn't want to say it, I felt like I had to. I just felt like there was already something in my mind that I was implanted that I was going to do it, and I woke up that morning, it was going to happen, and I had no control of it.
However, this Nikki is entirely different.
I found a video online where a man talks about what happens if a woman uses her menstrual to create a ritual.
What?
And then feeds it to the man.
Now, what happens is basically a woman has a desire for a man. She creates a ritual over her menstrual and then clandestinely feeds it to the man. Now, what happens is this interesting properties
I'm
within the
gonna throw
menstrual.
up.
Basically, what he says is the red stuff that comes from your menstrual cycle, it's quite different than the red stuff that flows through your veins. He says the DNA in the red stuff
ends up in the brain of the target and creates an epigenetic effect where it longs to return to the body from where it came.
The woman who has put the red stuff magic
on the man or the woman, they have an endless longing to be with them. They miss them terribly, and they can't get away from them. But it actually gets more sinister than that. They start developing the personality traits of the individual who put the blood in their food. Now, how you will know about someone that's been done to them, you will notice a deterioration in their health. They just look awful to him. He can't stop contacting her. If he's disconnected from her, he starts, but she's keeping in touch by things like email or occasionally seeing him. He begins to deteriorate something awful.
I usually have a very good tolerance to trauma. I've seen a lot of things in the military, but that...
Chriswatts believed that a deep attached to Nichol Kessinger was controlling him. He also claimed dark things happened at Mickey's house. When asked about specifics, he said, "I will take it to my grave."
That's
in letters, Chriswatts has written that from the time he started seeing Nichol Kessinger up to the time of the murder, he felt an deep force was chasing him. Remember when detectives asked Chriswatts to describe when he first met Nichol Kessinger, and he said he felt like he had never been pursued before? He felt like she chased him. And then later he wrote these letters claiming that there was something in Nichol, and then it got into him. Because I knew it contained Chriswatts' actual handwritten letters.
I've been reading it again.
As soon as I got it out of the mailbox, I went straight to the back of the book to read them. I wanted to share a specific letter where Chriswatts talks about a vision that he had the very first night that he spent in the Weld County Jail. I arrived at Weld County Jail the night of August 15th. I get booked, fingerprinted, and my picture taken, and then escorted by a deputy. I'm standing there alone in the darkness, wondering if this is it. Is this my normal for the rest of my life?
Yes, sir, it is.
I lay down in the bunk in my turtle suit and just stare off into the darkness. Nothing is adding up, and it feels like none of this can be real. To my astonishment, I look in the front corner of my cell and see two dark figures standing there. I thought, okay, this is my eyes playing tricks on me. So I closed them and opened my eyes again, and yet they are still there. As I focus more intently, I can see one is male and one is female. The male is in a black suit. The female is in a black dress with a Victorian-style hat. Both their wardrobes looked vintage. Their faces were ash-colored. The faces were ash-colored and almost familiar, until the familiar feeling turned into a sure thing. This was my grandfather and my grandmother, on my mom's side. Their faces being unmistakable now, I almost wanted to move closer to them when their eyes opened in unison. Their eyes were as red as like crimson. This eerie feeling came over me, and I had four eyes staring back at me, as if piercing my soul in a bad way. The only problem was that it felt like I was in a trance. I had to keep eye contact. I felt like I needed to go over to the both of them, but all of a sudden something broke the trance. I stopped looking at the pair, looked back again, and the corner of my cell was empty once again. I obviously couldn't sleep much after that event, thinking this type of visit could only get worse if I let my guard down. I laid in this unit for a week until I was moved to a restrictive housing unit, or the hole. This always confused me as to why Chriswatts would see his grandparents in such a dark way, dressed in dark clothing with crimson red eyes.
Because they're coming for you.
It kind of sounded like he thought his grandparents were spirits. I just couldn't make sense of it until I learned a little bit more about magic and deities.
Oh,
a deity is just a spirit So it could be pretty much anyone. For witches, a deity is like a mentorship. They seek wisdom and guidance on how to be a better version of themselves, improve their magical practice, or gain advice on situations. It's like a relationship. They turn to them for guidance while they're learning how to do their spell work. And according to Sherilyn Cadle, while Chris and Nikki were camping, chriswatts said that he could hear Nichol chanting while she was holding up a crystal. And when he later asked her what she was doing, she said she was talking to her grandmother.
This is a messed up. Mistaken? What if it was? Oh.
Witchcraft can be attached to any deity and any religion, basically anything, as long as they work well together. Some witches follow the Christian faith, some work with saints, deities, some work with the Christian, some work with figures that are of the origin of the Christian. I'm not trying to say that Nichol Kessinger is this incredibly powerful witch, but what I am suspecting is that maybe she was dabbling in kitchen witchcraft, which can be as simple as stirring tea with a certain intention, stirring it clockwise to attract something in and counterclockwise to remove something. Adding sweetener into the tea to improve a specific circumstance and make it more beneficial to you. Kitchen witchcraft can be extreme, with a ridiculous amount of herbs that have been specifically created and charged at a certain planetary hour in order to add into a particular food in order to manifest a particular intention that you will then eat in a ritual circumstance. It can be really simple or really, really complex.
Chris thinks he's in love and, whatever.
I've learned that possession is actually really rare because it takes an incredible amount of energy and a tremendously weak person in order for them to become possessed. So it's really rare.
Chris was?
I found this interesting considering the situation. Spells cast with strong emotions are often more powerful and they manifest more strongly if there's more emotion and more energy behind it. If someone casts a spell in a highly emotional state, extreme joy, happiness, sadness, anger, this emotion can help fuel the workings of the spell. If someone casts a spell while having high emotions, they're much more likely to have positive results because their highly emotional state has fueled that working with energy.
I wonder if this is part of what I've been witnessing with the two shadows that come and watch me occasionally. That's all they do. They just watch me. And nothing has happened. Well, it's touched me once or twice, but it left some red marks on me, but I can't honestly say it's connected, but it just so happens that I didn't see that stuff until I started doing these videos a year ago. It really makes you wonder. So
this is something that can be a positive or a negative. The spell can produce powerful results, but it can also sway workings if that emotion isn't controlled. It's a really fine balance. You need enough emotion to push the working forward, but not too much emotion. If the spellcaster is full of rage and sadness, the spell can essentially adapt itself to fit their needs in the strongest way possible. This is what I suspect happened. Nikki may have been playing around with magic, not knowing what she was doing, maybe not expecting it to work, but because of her situation and her highly emotional state just being completely out of control, this spell adapted itself to fit her needs in the strongest way. She wanted Chris's family gone, and that's exactly what she got. She was upset about not being able to give Chris his first son, angry that this opportunity was being taken away from her. In a twisted way, she got exactly what she wanted. Had Chris gotten away with this, they could have continued their relationship. She wouldn't have had to worry about being a stepmother. She would have had peace with no baby mama drama. And eventually, when she was ready, on her time, she could have had the honor of giving Chris his first son.
Be careful what you wish for.
Chris.
I never fall in love. I never fall in
That's creepy to think about.
Get the bird. Get the book.
I'm creeped out. I don't know about you guys. Oh. This is definitely pretty creepy. When the commercial showed pretty much everything in this case.
Today. That's what I was out so far.
He was so nervous here.
My detective just showed up. But he'll probably want to talk to you. He'd probably, like I said, you might have to call at the bank and see if there's any kind of activity.
Because if there was any sort of action on his cameras, I would have got it. But right. I've had issues the other week when people were stealing stuff out of like garages and stuff like that.
Yeah, this was just, of all commercials, she's pregnant.
She's pregnant. Well, how far along? 15 months.
And then the oil, the deceased,
she's pregnant.
The baby is.
How far along?
Oh my gosh.
She's pregnant. How far along? 15 months.
Welcome to the Diamond's playground. You can tread, but you've been slain. You still can be led, but dreamers dance.
I'm definitely scared.
Welcome to
What we saw on the screen as Chris Watts swayed back and forth was the preview for an upcoming show. It was released on August 6th, about a week before the...
Crazy.
True to AHS form, the teaser featured an array of disturbing images, starting
was
with
it
an
Revelations? I thought it was
room
Apocalypse.
incubating an infant.
Oh, okay.
Followed by quick shots of skulls, scorpions, explosions, and the satanic symbol. This would be the 8th season, and it would be a crossover between previous seasons 1 and 3, respectively named and Coven.
What the flip?
And the main plot from this show was to stop a child from being born.
Is there 1 or 2 babies in my belly? Chris and I are hoping for 1, but my belly feels like there's 2. I need to go see if there's 1 or 2 babies in there. I'm really hoping there's just 1.
I know most of you have already seen this, probably multiple times, but I just wanted to point out that had this story been made into a series by AHS, this could easily serve as a preview to show what happened to this family. A fetus looking to be about 5 months old with the umbilical cord still attached, an explosion in a remote region, a woman in a nightie wearing a respirator mask, the dark water or what could be oil, a fight between good and evil, an incinerator, and an hourglass. Did you weird symbolism in the company that both Chris and Nichol worked for? In the year 2018, Anadarko produced 666,000 barrels of oil daily. And there's also lots of weird circumstances and strange things that go on in the oil industry.
What the crap?
This video is about 27 minutes long, and I think I'm going to have to make a part 2. What happens
you might have
in some
to.
of my longer videos is once I've added in and taken away over and over, the app that I use for editing starts running really slow, and it just makes it really frustrating trying to edit the video. So we'll...
Being a spiritual advisor is not inherently suspicious. It has fueled rumors that Kessinger was involved in more esoteric and sinister practices. Some have even suggested that she owns a New Age shop where she might have engaged in practices like tarot card reading, crystal healing, and other forms of modern-day mysticism. However, if Kessinger had been involved with such practices, it would not necessarily connect her to something as secretive or sinister as the Ordo Templi Orientis. The OTO is not just another secret society. It has deep roots in dark rituals, arcane knowledge, and a pursuit of power that goes beyond the material world, and enlightenment through unconventional and often taboo means. OTO rituals often involve complex ceremonies designed to invoke spiritual entities. The highest degrees of the OTO are said to grant access to the most powerful rituals and the deepest secrets of the order, knowledge that remains elusive to all but a select few. Rumors have even circulated that there is a secret handshake or some other sign used by OTO members to recognize one another, and that these could be used to exert influence or to protect fellow members from legal scrutiny. Some conspiracy theorists have speculated that such a gesture could have been used to ensure that Nichol Kessinger was not properly investigated by the police, despite her close involvement with Chris Watts. The idea that Nichol's father gave detectives some kind of secret handshake and used his influence to manipulate the investigation into Chris Watts' crimes is nothing more than a conspiracy theory. There is no evidence to support the claim that Kessinger or her father had any connection to the OT form of power at play, psychological manipulation. This is a form of influence that doesn't require ritual or magic. It simply requires a deep understanding of human behavior and the ability to subtly control the thoughts and actions of others. By suggesting a course of action that aligns with the person's already existing desires or fears, you subtly reinforce those ideas until the person acts on them, believing it was their choice all along. This type of influence can be incredibly powerful and is often used unconsciously by those who are adept at reading people. Nichol Kessinger may not have been a witch or a high priestess of some dark, secret order. She was a woman who made terrible choices that may have contributed to one of the most horrific crimes in recent histories. The failure to thoroughly investigate these dark things that Chris Watts mentioned only adds to the confusion, but the lack of credible evidence should be a reminder to focus on what we know rather than what we fear. I realize that these answers may not be the truth you were hoping for. The truth is much more mundane, but it's also far more tragic. This is only the beginning of a much larger discussion.
I'm floored right now.
Now, here's a more asteroid that has to do with life.
I hope Crime Catalyst makes a part 2, because this dark or deep dive into the darkness or the dark things in this case is scary, or how do I want to say it? I don't want to say scary coincidence because I don't believe in coincidences, but this is like on the verge of scariness to the max of how. I need to know what you guys think. I'm not going to say anything right now. I'll add my 2 cents in later down in the comments myself. I'm just even floored more. Leave your guys' your guys' theories, your opinions. I definitely want to hear them down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. That hopefully one day everything that we do here on this channel and more will mean something and do something in this case. And share with your friends, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So keep it real, keep it safe, and as always, keep nerding on, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.